Welcome to episode number 2 of the Base Camp Country Real Estate Podcast. My name is Kix Nelson. I'm your host, and today I have a good buddy of mine, Zack York. Zack is a land professional from Indiana.
Yes, sir. Central Indiana.
I'm glad to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How you got into real estate, what your plans are, and how long you've been in it, and all that good stuff.
Thanks for having me on. And like Kick said, Zack York. I cover Central Indiana for Base Camp Country Real Estate. And we live about 30 minutes east of Indy, my wife and I. And he's not so new of an addition anymore, but the little man is almost 18 months now. So everybody with kids can imagine that it's almost as a full-time job as real estate is. So it makes life a lot of fun. I grew up kind of in the outdoors, but I wasn't as invested as I am now. My dad would take us hunting and fishing, and then I probably won't get in trouble now that we've been married for a few years, but 7 or 8 years ago when I met Morgan, I remember meeting her dad for the first time, and my buddy that is now my brother-in-law, they were talking about skunk scent on the back porch, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. Because I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Then fast forward a year or two into it, and I got bit by the bug, and it's pretty addicting once you get into the outdoors and just go in depth into it as we are. So that kind of barrel rolled into the real estate side when Tom took over the national sales position for Base Camp, and man, it's been a grind, but it's been fun. So I was part-time for about 4 years between real estate and my full-time job, and took the leap at the beginning of the year, and I wish I would have done it sooner to become a full-time agent.
Some of you probably don't know, but Zack is son-in-law to Tom James. Tom James is our national sales manager guy who you heard on our very first episode of the podcast. And so I'm sure you get a lot of very incredible knowledge because that guy knows what he's talking about, and he knows everything there is to know about the outdoors. I truly believe that.
Pretty blessed when it comes to that, and on top of that, we've got they would probably hide their heads in their shirt and disagree, but I do think between Tom and Pat and our buddy Jamie Turpin that I've had a lot of opportunity to be around. You could put those three in the top, my eyes top 3, but within the top 5 to 10 habitat and land managers in the States.
Sure.
When you get to be around them, hear them talk to them, I'm usually pretty quiet because it's all ears and just take it as a sponge. It's fun and it's super cool to be able to learn as you go, and it also just better helps our clients in the long run. So
Yep.
Any information that we can absorb, and like I said, I'm just pretty blessed to be able to have those guys at a phone call or a text to answer questions or just be around.
We are very lucky to have some extremely knowledgeable, not only real estate agents, but land and wildlife managers on this team at Base Camp Country. I mean, we got, of course, Tom James, we've got Zach, we've got Patrick McFadden, and a few other guys that are, that have their degrees in land and wildlife management. So we are able to gain a ton of knowledge just from those guys alone, and I'm sure there's a few others that I forgot to mention. That's one thing I love about working at Base Camp Country is just having access to that type of knowledge.
It's so cool, and it's jaw dropping, and there is a lot of information, but it all makes sense once you hear it, you see it, and it starts clicking.
So how long you been in real estate for, man?
August marks year number 5 for me. Like I said, I did it part-time for 4 years, and that was a hustle in itself, working from 5 to 2, 2:30, 3:30, and then once I got off, driving anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours to check out a property or show some buyers a property, and sometimes that would be a 7-day-a-week thing after work, but it was definitely worth it. Just being able to still get outside, be able to do what we want in the evenings as far as our profession. We were just kind of put in a situation at the beginning of the year where I was able to go full time, and I've been planning that switch in my head for 4 years, because that was ultimately the goal. And once the opportunity came, I feel like I did pretty well hitting the ground running. And like I said earlier, I wish I would have done it a lot sooner, but I wouldn't change anything.
I've got to mention your wife. Your wife's name is Morgan, and that woman keeps this place going. The amount of stuff that she does for Base Camp Country Real Estate is unbelievable, and I have a lot of respect for your wife. I think she does a great job. Tell us a little bit about Morgan and kind of what she does and how she got involved in it.
Yeah, her official job title is program manager. So any of the listings, paperwork, she keeps me in line, Tom in line, Craig in line. She's the backbone, and I think everybody would agree to that. And she doesn't necessarily get a lot of credit visually, but I know everybody really appreciates her, and she is kick butt at her job.
She really is.
Anything and everything. She is a professional real estate agent, babysitter for 50 something guys, and she's still able to be a mom, be the wife, and the friend to her friends, to make time for them. It's all the hats off to Morgan, because she kills it. And again, I'm blessed, and I know that everybody else feels blessed when Morgan's able to, fix their problems or answer their questions. And whether it be at 8 o'clock in the morning or sometimes a little bit later, when she may not want to answer the phone, but
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, she's always on it.
I know every time I've ever bothered her, and I've bothered her a lot, she's been very responsive, more than happy to help. She is fantastic, man. You guys did very well getting her on board with Base Camp Country, because I don't think you could ask for a better one than she is.
And she doesn't like to not know what she's doing, and she has to be 99.9% perfect, and if not 100, because if she doesn't know something, she's got to know it right away.
Yeah.
And she always says, I've been trying to get her out to go play some golf. We don't play a lot, but it's just one of those things it'd be fun to do together. And
Yeah.
she always reverts back to a story when she was younger, and Tom and Laura and Lauren, they went putt-putting, and I think she might have thrown a little bit of a fit because she lost. And she doesn't want to lose, and she's going to win every single time, because she's going to get to the bottom of it. And yes, very much so, which makes her just that much greater at her job.
Well, I know she doesn't like to probably, put her face in front of things and let everybody know she kind of runs the show around here, but maybe we can get her convinced to be on a podcast one day.
Hey, that would be awesome. Even if we could convince her to do her and I, or her and Tom, or the three of us, I think we could probably make that happen.
Absolutely.
We just got back from a little trip to visit my parents, and took Bo to Disney World, but I know Tom worked his butt off on the property this weekend, making sure all the stands were good. And I just told him, I said, I've got to get my Bo out, because just business and life is just so busy, and
Yeah.
it doesn't take that long, but just those evening hours, by the time you have an opportunity, you just want to sit down and take a deep breath and relax.
Yeah. I busted mine out a couple weeks ago, started hitting the targets a little bit. I figured I needed to get back in shape, so I've been shooting quite a bit the last, 3 or 4 weeks really, and just trying to get lined out. We open September 15th here in Missouri.
Yeah, you just got a few more days. You're probably rubbing your hands together, itching just a little bit.
Dude, I'm ready. I'm taking 4 days off actually, so I'm gonna go. We open on the 14th, and I'm heading down we open on the 15th, and I'm leaving on the 14th. I'm gonna go down to where we kind of rifle hunt at. I'm actually gonna bow hunt that area for the first time ever. I've never bow hunted down there, so we're gonna give bow hunting a shot down the place I usually rifle hunt, and see if we can have some luck. I'll have 4 days to try to get something done, so hopefully it's not too hot. It's starting to cool off here a little bit, but I haven't looked at the weather next week, so I'm not sure what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I think well, at least here in Indiana, it's supposed to get hot the next couple of days, and then drop back down to mid 70s. So I definitely won't complain about that. I think the biggest thing is just a little bit of rain would help everybody right now. Just get the food plots their last little drink of water, and even the deer. I know it's kind of all over the place right now in Indiana, just the pockets, and
Yeah,
We just need rain, really.
it's pretty dry, man. We haven't had rain probably for 2 or 3 weeks anyway. I haven't even had to mow my yard, and I couldn't even tell you last time I mowed my stuff.
Yeah, that's always a plus though, especially with our busy lives. If you don't have
Yeah.
to turn the mower key on, then you're in good shape.
Do you do anything other than deer hunting? You hunt ducks or geese or any of that, or just into deer hunting
Man,
mostly?
really, it's whitetail and turkey. That's pretty much it. Everybody that I talk to that does waterfowl, they say it's really expensive.
Not
It looks a lot of fun. I would love to go, but
that's
I
the problem.
think, yeah,
Once you do it, man, once you get into that duck hunting and that goose hunting, you'll be addicted, man. You won't be able to quit. It's bad.
yeah, and I can't imagine. I know you get one whitetail and one turkey here in Indiana, so I mean, I guess if you tagged out on the first day every season, you'd have a little bit more time to get into it. But man, the fall comes, sometimes it's a grind, and same thing with turkeys. If they're not cooperating, it might take a few trips or a few days to get it done. And I don't know. I guess one of these days I'll try it, but really right now it's just primarily whitetails and turkeys.
I really need to get into turkey hunting more. I don't. I turkey hunt, but I don't take it as serious as I take my deer hunting, and I really need to start focusing on that a lot more because everybody I talk to absolutely ate up with turkey hunting, and I just never really got into it.
Yeah, it was probably, I guess it was 2019. I shot my first turkey, and there might have been 1 year since then that I didn't get an Indiana bird. But yeah, it's always fun to get out there and just the communication that you can have with a wild animal to get them a little bit closer. It's always exciting, and they might not come, but
Yeah.
it's just as cool to wake up in the morning and hear them just gobbling their heads off, either whether you're hunting them or not.
Right. Well, I got into duck hunting and goose hunting back in 2009, and a buddy of mine, we call him Rebel. His name's David Taylor. He has been ate up with duck and goose hunting for his whole entire life. Anyway, he tried for years to convince me to go duck and goose hunting, and I didn't want no part of it, man. I was a bow hunter, I was a deer hunter, and that was it. Like, that's all I cared about. And so finally, after him, in my ear for years, man, you got to go duck hunting. You got to go duck hunting. I finally gave in. I was like, fine, I'll go duck hunting. So he took me on a duck hunt up by St. Louis, and man, we limited out and we had a great time. We was done in like 30 minutes, and we had just ducks everywhere. My first ever duck hunt. It was amazing, and I'll never forget it. And after that, I got seriously ate up with that duck hunting. I started buying all the decoys and all the stuff, and yes, it's very expensive and it's very addicting. I don't do it near as much as I used to. I kind of backed off on it because the duck hunting around here kind of got it dropped off really bad the last 4 or 5 years, man. I don't know. We're not seeing the amount of ducks and geese that we used to see around this area, and so it's kind of hard to hunt this area anymore. And yeah, I don't know what the reason is for that, but it just hasn't been as good as it has been in years past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and especially that's just another time that you get to spend with your kids too, and bring them up into. And I mean, there's a season for everything.
Yeah, man. So how many kids you got? You just got the one?
We just have one right now. Yep.
Yep.
No, he, like I said, 18 months old, and he's growing to be a big boy, and he likes just about everything that boys do, playing in the dirt and picking up rocks and playing in the mulch, anything to get dirty. He's
That's awesome.
diving headfirst into.
My one and only baby boy is 19 years old. So I've got three girls, but I got a 19-year-old boy, a 16-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl, and a 6-year-old girl. So we got a house full.
12 more years, and you won't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
That or you might have the little grandkids running around by then.
I hope not. No, I'm not ready for that. I'm not that old yet. Tell us a little bit about Indiana. I'm not real familiar with that state and what the land market is like up there. I know land prices down here are getting they're just booming. So are you kind of seeing the same thing up in Indiana?
So Indianapolis is obviously our state capital, and it's right smack dab in the center of the state. So in Marion County, where Indianapolis is, if there's a county that's touching Marion, it's just expanding with development, which whether it be just residential, the cookie cutter, same house,
Mhm.
2 feet apart for, I mean, just acres and acres,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
some big concrete building, and there can't just be one. They've got to have at least 10 when they do that.
Yeah.
But that is definitely playing a factor in our land prices in Indiana, not just around that area, but all over the place, because a lot of the major cities are doing the exact same thing up by Pat, Lafayette, and even Louisville, Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati is Ohio, Jake's down there. And it's just, it's pretty crazy, but it's just one of those things that if you're looking to buy or sell, you just at this point kind of have to accept it, because I don't see it changing anytime soon. I don't think it'll skyrocket up any much more, but it's just the way the market is right now. So even it's reflecting into a lot of recreational sites too, because sure, it's like this just about anywhere, and especially to the people that I've talked to, that hot honey spot right now is 5 to 20 acres, where people want to get out of the city, build a house, be able to hunt off of it, just more live off the land and live the rural lifestyle.
Yep.
And people are willing to pay a little bit more. If you can sell your house on a third of an acre for $400,000, I mean, heck, you can buy 20 acres for 200 and have 200 for a budget for a house, and still live very, very comfortable. And we are seeing a lot of that here in central Indiana. You almost have to get out about an hour to an hour and a half to break that $10,000 an acre mark, whether it's rent ground because of that reason for building homes, or just farm ground. Farm ground's even higher than that 10K amount. So it's definitely just the way things are right now, but at the same time, it's people are still buying and selling all the time. There's just not enough inventory. So when somebody is ready to pull the trigger on something like that, then there's not very many options, and we got to kind of sit around and wait.
Yep. Around here, where I'm at, I'm located in Webster County, Missouri, and my hometown is a town called Rogersville, Missouri, and it is the number one fastest growing city in Missouri right now. And right now we have a population of about like 5,000 people. And so our population has increased 45% over just the last few years. So it's booming out here, man. It's getting crazy. And if I had people that had 3 to 5 acre plots out here for sale, I could sell 100 of them tomorrow. Everybody wants
Mhm.
a little 3 to 5 acre lot, you know? And so anybody that's listening, if you got 3 to 5 acres you want to sell, or you 100 acres you want to split up in 3 to 5 acre slots, holler at me, because I promise you I'll sell them tomorrow.
They're not making any more of it. And if you don't, if you feel like you might kick yourself for not buying it now, somebody else is right behind you. So I mean, they're just take advantage of the opportunity when it's right in front of you.
I'm sure you hear it just as much as I do, but I hear all the time, man, I wish I would have bought I wish I would have bought land 20 years ago, you know? Well, what do you,
Yeah.
what do you think we're going to be saying in another 20 years? Man, I wish I would have bought land 20 years ago.
Yeah. So, and really those 5 acre lots, or even to start out, you don't have to have 100 acres to be able to go hunt on. Some of those 5 acre spots are just as good as 500 acre spots.
Yep.
And because of YouTube and social media, I think more people are starting to be able to see that you don't have to have it all right off the bat. Just kind of work at it and improve your land. And when you position yourself and you're ready to grow bigger, the time is I mean, you're going to know when the time is right. So just kind of make that a goal. And a lot of people are afraid of the not being able to afford it, but there's a few things that you might be able to cut out to afford I don't know, $300 to $500 land payment. And there's just 20% down on $100,000. I mean, 20 grand. It's not much if you put back so much money every week, it really doesn't amount to that much, and you can call yourself a landowner.
I truly believe everybody in this world should own a piece of land. Whether it's a piece of hunting ground or a piece of recreational ground or just a place to go and camp, like everybody needs a piece of land, man. And there's just something about it. And I don't know what it is, but owning a piece of land like that will change your life. You look at things from a very different perspective if you own your own piece of land.
Absolutely, yeah, and just even going back to that smaller acreage piece, if you do live in a neighborhood or in the city and you don't have a lot of room, even that 5 to 20 acres that we've been talking about, I mean, that could be a little weekend place where you take your kids or your family and or your friends even, and it's so different living out in the rural parts than it is like in the neighborhood or in a skyrise apartment or anything like that. It's just so much more a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
And I mean, back to it, everybody enjoys their freedom and the land, and that's America. So it's
Yeah.
not all sky rises and high rise towers. There's so much more beyond the city. And it is cool when you get to work with clients that haven't necessarily experienced that, but it has been a goal, and they just kind of dip their toes in to maybe go check out a couple properties, and they might not be 100% sure what they want yet, but after maybe the first one or the fifth showing, and you see their eyes light up, and they understand, they start to get the understanding of what it's all about, and building a relationship with you. And of course all of our guys have the outdoor experience, and we're able to communicate that with our clients. But it's so cool to be able to just put that perspective into somebody else's eyes that hasn't necessarily seen it before,
Yeah.
whether they buy with you or they don't end up buying something. That relationship gained, and you know that once you've been around them, then you know who they're going to call when they are ready.
Hmm.
And you're just kind of burning that into their head that it's so that there is something else other than the city. And also just that trust and knowledge that we're able to give them to pursue their dreams here in the near future, if not now.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a guy out here the other night at my house, and he is from the city boy, and he come out here, and it was like, I don't know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever time it was, and it was kind of still a little bit daylight, and then got dark shortly after that, and he made a comment. He's like, "Man, it gets so dark out here." He's like, "I've never seen it this dark." That just kind of floored my mind. I was like, "Wow." Yeah, like he's never been out in the country to see what, it's like without the city lights, man. And it's like he really enjoyed it. He was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, especially Christmas time or holiday seasons when you've got Christmas lights and yard decorations and things happening every weekend during the summer where, I don't know, the streets are lit up dang near 24/7, it seems like. Just be able to step out, hear the crickets or cicadas, and I mean, even the sunrises and sunsets, that's something that
And
I
we
feel like
just,
if somebody hadn't really experienced that yet, that's a game changer.
oh yeah, one of my favorite sounds, man. Every night, like, whatever time we have coyotes that just go crazy around here, and to the city folk that might kind of freak them out a little bit, and if they've never heard it, because it's pretty, it's a unique sound to say the least, and
Yeah.
so it takes some getting used to, but it's one of my favorite things, man. Just going, I'll be out there, doing whatever, and I'll hear them coyotes start howling, and it's just incredible. I love that sound.
Yeah, even where we live, Saturday night actually, there was four. It sounded like four, I could be wrong, but there was four coyote pups right across the road,
Yeah.
and I mean we see them all the time, but they were just going at it at 1:30, and you wake up and it's like, what is that? But at the same time, you realize that they're a predator, but it's still pretty cool to be able to hear those kind of things and just being out in the country.
Yeah. My wife went out in the backyard the other night to grab our dog because dog was going crazy, and she stepped out back and he wasn't coming, so she went out there and grabbed him, and she realized when she grabbed him, he was standing there because there was a coyote in our yard. He wasn't coming any closer, but he wasn't coming inside. We had to go pick him up and carry him in.
Yeah, doing his job and protecting the herd.
He sure was, man. He wasn't messing around. It's funny too because it's just a little beagle dog, but he's very protective.
Yeah, standing his ground. A little David and Goliath action if he needed to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I sure appreciate you jumping on this podcast. You got anything else you want to talk about or mention while we're here?
I don't think so right now. I think we covered a lot in a short amount of time. If you are in Indiana, central Indiana, give Tom or I a call, and
Yeah.
let's look at some land or talk about some land. So just kick the stand, and we're here and ready for you.
Who are all the agents up there in Indiana right now? You
Uh, we've got Tom and I cover Central Indiana. Zach Stevens, he's a newer agent. He's just north of us, so about north central. Kind of the northwest corner is Pat McFadden, Frank Collins in West Central Indiana, along with Brad and Danielle Ontrop.
Yep.
Caleb Thorne, South Central Indiana. We got Jake Nuring down in southeastern Indiana. Dean Brandt, who's our managing broker here in Indiana, he covers East Central, and Jason Pierce covers Northeastern Indiana right now. But we do have some spots to fill here in Indiana. So again, if you're listening, and even if you have a real estate license and are ready to rock and roll, that's even better. But it doesn't hurt to ask or start to talk about it.
Indiana has some really good agents, man. You guys are got some incredible knowledge up there in that state. So if you guys are looking for land or anything like that in the state of Indiana, any one of those guys can help you out. Any one of them is great to talk to. I've talked to all of them, and they're all super knowledgeable, super friendly, and be more than happy to help you out. So just get on our website, basecampcountry.com, and search up whatever county you're wanting to find land in, and somebody will help you out.
Absolutely.
Well, Zach, I appreciate it, man. We'll jump off here and let the next guys come on, but thanks for chiming in today.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to the next time we get to sit down and do this. Doing this is always fun, and everybody knows content is king. So
Yeah, man.
keep it rolling.
We're going to keep this thing rolling. This is just episode number 2, but man, we got big plans. We're going to have all kinds of people on here. I think we can have up to, I don't even know how many guests, but we can have 4 or 5 guys on here at least if we wanted to for one episode. So we're going to have a bunch of
That'd be
different,
awesome.
so it'll be fun.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, you have yourself a good day. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to episode number 2 with Zack York, land professional in Indiana with Base Camp Country Real Estate. We will see you guys on episode 3.